Hi, this is Dr. Darwin, a new dentist coach, with another episode of Ask Dr. Darwin, where you ask questions about getting into dental school, surviving dental school, getting into residency, surviving residency, and also about careers within the profession of dentistry. Be sure that you guys are subscribing to my YouTube channel, Dr. Darwin Speaks, as I post videos weekly, at least 2 or 3 times a week, and I don't want you guys to miss those videos. They've been very informative for a lot of people, and they've helped them kind of navigate into the profession. All right. So today we have a special guest, one of my classmates who's in the military, and she's going to tell us a little bit about how to become a military dentist. How to become a military dentist. Today we're joined with Dr. Elizabeth Oates. How you doing, Doc?
Good morning. I'm drinking my coffee, so I'm doing okay.
Oh, you got your coffee? Oh man, that's what I don't have this morning. I'm glad you up. You got a super duper cup, super duper Hampton cup. Okay. You're not playing. You're not playing. Well, welcome. Hey, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, so I am the class of 2000, University of Maryland Dental School, that mystical year. I did a residency out on the reservation in Arizona and worked in private practice and as a contractor for the military. And after about 10 years, of working in private practice and doing contracting, I said, let's do things a little different. So I went into the Army as a direct commissionee. Went to boot camp, did the traditional boot camp that officers do, and then went to my first duty station. And 7.5 years later, here I am, still a member of the United States Army.
Army. Okay, so you're in the Army. Great. Yeah, I was in the Air Force. I loved it. Loved the being in the dental corps there. And even though there are some differences between the two corps, but for the most part, the mission is the same. So.
Correct. But you know, in the Air Force, the girls get to wear, the ladies get to wear earrings. We don't.
Oh, really? I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah, they get to wear their little studs. So, you know, I wish that maybe one of these days that'll help with the pretty. But, yeah, the mission is the same.
Yeah. So what are you currently doing as a military officer first and then dentist second? Because I always remember that distinction. You know, you are a military officer first and you're a dentist second. So tell us a little bit about what you do as a military dentist and, and officer.
Correct. Currently, I am a Lieutenant Colonel, so that is an officer in the Army. And I like to think about it like that. He said, so you're half soldier, half dentist. And I said, well, yeah, actually, that is true. But as an officer in the military and a dentist, you are expected to perform your duties for the military and perform your duties as a doctor, meaning you have physical tests twice a year that you're expected to take, where you do your run, your push-ups, your sit-ups, and prove your physical fitness. You do lots of military specified training. That's required for all soldiers to do every year. You have additional duties as officers that take you away from seeing patients, and they can run a gamut of things as far as additional duties that you'll do. And then there's also the deployment component, which is just one thing that we do, where you can be deployed to different areas of the world or different theaters of war to take care of soldiers, working dogs, other foreign soldiers. So you are dividing your time between military tasks and seeing patients.
Wow.
Seeing patients is just like any other place. You know, we have operatories. You perform regular dentistry, but as a military dentist, you're able to do dentistry anywhere. A field unit, you know, out in the field, out in the desert, or in an operatory. So.
Wow. So it sounds like as a military dentist, you're really multifunctional because of the mission for the particular service, and then your regular dental duties. But then you said there's some additional duties, other assignments, other job duties that you have to fulfill. And you have to, in addition to taking dental education, you mentioned that you have to take military education as well, right? What's that called?
Absolutely. So there are different, depending on your rank, there are different levels of education that are required at different stages in your military career. And that military training is specific to the military. So, you know, when you're a captain, you're learning one thing about the Army. When you get up in the major and lieutenant colonel ranks, it's called Command and General Staff College. You learn different things like movement and maneuver, how the different organizations in the military are set up. You know, you touch on history. So as you mature in rank, you mature in your military training and your understanding of the business of the military, of the Department of Defense, you know, of the armed services. It's required because that's your job, and you need to understand your job.
Right. So as a lieutenant colonel, when you first came in to the military, what was your rank?
So I'm the eyeball. I came in as a major, but that was because I had already been practicing for 10 years. I had spent 7 years as an Army contractor, and I had 4 years. I had been in private practice since I left my residency, and I had business ownership experience. So the military actually gave me credit for that. It's not something most military officers are going to have, and I had that. So they gave me credit for it, and I came in not as a captain, but as the rank of major because of my experience.
Right. Okay. And just so people know who are exploring this option, usually when you come into the dental corps, either in the Navy, Air Force, or Army, usually it's the rankings are lieutenant, captain, major, lieutenant colonel, colonel, and then general, either 1, 2, 3, or 4-star general. That's the highest. But usually for us as dentists, when you're coming out of residency, like Dr. Oates said, or coming out of dental school, you're usually coming out as either a lieutenant or a captain, and then you work your way up to the level of major, lieutenant colonel, etc., based on your years experience that you're in that particular level. Or like Dr. Oates said, being the oddball, she came in with a lot of years of experience and clinical experience and came in as a major, which you're right, which doesn't happen too often. But your credentials spoke for yourself and was the foundation for that new level. So that's great. So as a lieutenant colonel now, are the types of dental procedures that you're doing different than what you were doing maybe as a major?
Absolutely not. You know, the patients are the same. The dentistry is the same. What changes is, you know, the level of responsibility that in some cases they want you to go on. In some cases they want you to get prepared for. So your ability and what you do in patient care doesn't change, but your ability to assume a certain level of responsibility does. So.
Right. Okay. So what's your typical day like as a military dentist? What's your day like? I know you just got recently deployed, not necessarily overseas, but had a change of duty station. You PCS'd to a new location. But before your PCS, what was your typical day like?
So in the clinics that I've worked in, and all clinics are different, but remember, we see service members, and they're up really early in the morning because they're doing, in some cases, they're doing physical training every day. So typically, the clinics that I've worked in, we do sick call, where we take walk-ins from 7 to 8, 7 to 7:30. Some clinics start at 6:30. So that first hour of the day, we usually reserve for any walk-in emergency type situations. And then we have patients scheduled for the rest of the day. We will work a 7 to 3:30 schedule with a 30-minute lunch. That is a typical setup day. We always do team steps in the morning, and we do a team steps huddle in the morning and a debrief because safety is most important for us. And that's a typical schedule. However, within every given month, there are certain things that we have to maintain. We do officer professional development days where we are learning or refreshing our skills on, assignments, duties, and things that officers do or should know how to do. We also have days of CE where we shut the clinic down, all the officers get together, and we do CE courses. We also have training days because the military believes that you need to stay ready. So we have training days where we go over, infection control, hazards, HAZCOM, any level of patient safety and clinic safety. So these type of things we do every month. The continuing education, the officer professional development, the dental clinic training for the staff, the military and the civilians, all these types of things we do every month. So although our clinic day is set up the same, we build in other things every single month so that we maintain a high level of standards and training.
Wow, that sounds very, very structured.
Very.
Well, actually, that's one of the things. That's one of the things I really liked about the military, because I was a structured person coming out of dental school, and I really liked the fact that your time was managed for you in a way that allowed you to get things done and not allow you to waste a lot of time, which I think it's a good attribute to have and a skill set to have when you do get out of the military and go into private practice, and you find that some other people don't share that same level of enthusiasm of having the structure and having things organized, but it allows you to get the mission done both within the military but also in your office. So I think it's really great training ground for the future if you decide to make your career in as a military dentist, you go into private practice in some aspect or some level. You have that sense of order, organization, time out for training, because that's so very important to have that time to train staff and do it repeatedly so that everyone is on the same page with the mission of the office, or in this case, the mission of the service. So let's talk a little bit about salary. I know salary structures is a little bit different. You're smiling, you're laughing. So let's give us a quick A to Z update on salary as a military dentist, but a one that's not too detailed.
Well, you were talking about structure. So just like everything else in the military structure, the salary is structured too. So for all the different ranks, the salary, your salary is based on your rank and your number of years in. So you get a little salary increase every year. And for Department of Defense, that table that shows you what you would make at a certain rank at a certain number of years in is actually published. So it's public and anyone can see that. What is not published, listen real closely, this is what you really want to hear. What is not published is our bonus structure.
Bonus.
Right, bonus structure.
Bonus.
It's not published. So you can see our basic salary. Anyone can look that up. If you want to look up what you would make as a new captain coming into the Army with 0 years of service, you can look that up and see that. I want to say it's somewhere probably between 70 and 80,000. But what is not published in there, and that's because different areas of concentration, different job types are going to have different bonus structures. So you're not going to see ours. That's not something you find out till you get in and you're sitting down at the table and they discuss that with you. However, I think it's a nice, comfortable salary. It is different than private practice, whereas like you were talking about, Dr. Hayes, you were talking about structure. This is structured. It is not fluctuating. In private practice, you have that unlimited potential to make all this money. And some people need that. Some people like that. But for those people who like structure, you can look it up and you can chart a course and see what you'll be making less the bonus structure. But I want to point out one thing, since we're talking about money, that I think is very hard to beat the armed services in, and that are the benefits. And I know as young people that are healthy, that are right out of school, they're going to conquer the world, they are not thinking about benefits at the time, particularly when they're going to their first job. But it's hard to beat the armed services and benefits because on average, you're earning 2.5 days a month of vacation time. They have, depending on where you are, depending on what base you're on, depending on what your situation is, holidays are not 3-day holidays, they're 4, which is really nice. Sometimes they call them morale days in certain situations. Those are really nice. When you need to take care of medical situations, you're not having to use up your leave time to do that. Your healthcare is provided for you. So you're not worried about what the cost of healthcare is, what the cost of a medication is that you need to take. That is provided for you. That is a part of your benefits package. Sure. So when you think about life and life happening to you, life happening for your family, and you look at the benefit structure in terms of healthcare, in terms of vacation time, in terms of the courtesies that are allowed military in some stores or with, certain things like credit cards, things like that, all those benefits add up to savings for you that are intangible. And the older you get, the more important they are. So sure, look at salary, but look at your benefits too. If you're paying for your own health care, you know what I'm talking about. You're in the amen corner. If you've ever had an injury or something happen to you that took you out of work, but because you're in private practice, you had to go to work, you're in the amen corner. You understand what I'm talking about. But in the military, if you have an injury that you need to heal, you're afforded the time and you're not concerned about losing money, losing pay, losing those few days that you get a year to spend with your family.
Wow, that's big. And I think this is the part of the podcast that people will definitely go back to because it deals with money, especially with student loan debt for a lot of people. If you don't go into school and you're not a recipient of one of their health profession scholarships where they pay for dental school and in return you have to give them 3 or 4 years back. If you're not one of those people that are listening that was not able to take advantage of that, you can still get into the military as direct ascension and be able to get some of those benefits. We have somebody here on Facebook Live that's mentioning that she was in the military for 10 years and made about $11,000 a month as a 03 or a captain or lieutenant, but most of her check was special pay, or had some bonus types of pays, which is not taxed. So a lot of those bonuses and how the military payment structure is laid out, it still allows you to really take advantage of some tax breaks. But at the same time, like you mentioned, Dr. Oates, I think that the whole notion of the benefits, that's one of the biggest things that people take away from joining the military. And not in addition to that structured environment and having those special morale days added on to vacation days and things like that. But those benefits, for you to try to duplicate the same level of the cost of the benefits in private practice, you would have to make, several thousands, hundreds of thousands more money just to be able to have the same level of benefits throughout your career. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Everything isn't about money when you think about it. I think about, for me, those things that have been covered or taken care of, and I'm just like, thank goodness. I wasn't out in private practice. And then the other thing in private practice is when you're away from the office, when you're taking that much needed vacation time, you're still attached at the hip to the office, and you're still, in the back of your mind, you're worried about make that money. If you're not in the office, you're not making money. And for us, it's not the same. The other thing you mentioned was student loans. So let's talk about that's student loan repayment is another benefit that the armed services can offer you. And no, I was not an ATSC scholar. However, when I came in as a direct accession, I didn't take a bonus. I took the loan repayment. And for me, that was a big deal because I didn't want that six-figure bill hanging over my head. I was tired of looking at it. I had already been paying it for about 8 years, and I just was like, this bill has got to go. That was important for me. So to sign on to the military and get that student loan repayment, for me, that was huge.
Right.
And, within 3 years, within my first contract, that student loan bill was paid, and I was debt free of student loans. Like, big deal, because once that student loan bill is paid, the quality of your life immediately changes.
Right. You stop sweating. You stop going like this.
Right. And you have so much more money that is freed up for you to do other things in your life with. It's a big deal. So if I got nothing from the military but loan repayment, big deal. Big deal. Right. The other thing is that we didn't talk about benefit is the whole time you're in the service, if you're lucky enough to make it 20 years, you earn a retirement.
Retirement.
But you can't say it.
Yeah, that's what I was going next. Yes, retirement. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so I jumped the gun.
That's fine. No, that's perfect, because I was going to ask you about about that retirement piece, which is big for a lot of us in dentistry, especially those of us that have had our practices before or worked in people's practices that were selling their practice. For a lot of dentists in private practice, the sale of their practice is their retirement.
Yeah.
It's part of their retirement, especially for those that haven't been savvy or had the time to, do some other types of investments, use dentistry for that. But for many people, it is a retirement. But like you said, in the military, it's totally different. So what's the retirement structure like based on the 20 years? I know there were some cases. I was stationed with a couple guys that got an early retirement at 15, like a special early retirement at 15 years. But typically, I know it's at 20, 25, 30. Can you explain how that works a little bit in the military?
So, the average. So 15 is a special thing that a person offered in the past. I don't think I'll get that lucky. But typical retirement is earned starting at year 20. You won't see people go 30 years. It just depends on what's allowed. But a typical retirement is 20 years of service, and it is you earn a certain portion of your salary that you have been making those last 3 years you were in the service.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a medical disability component. That medical disability is in addition to that retirement check that you're earning, and it is tax-free. And it is based on injuries or things that have happened to you during your military career that they are giving you a check for. Big deal because it's not taxed. So those people who are fortunate enough to make it to 20 years and above can retire knowing that they will be earning a check every month for the rest of their life. And then, they'll other have privileges like they can go on the base and shop, those types of things. So it is definitely a benefit that every single person that I've talked to that made it to retirement appreciate the life that that they're afforded afterwards because they get this monthly check that they no longer have to get up and work a 9 to 5 for.
That's right.
I haven't heard one person regret it yet.
No.
Every single.
No, everyone loves retirement. Everyone loves retirement out of the military. They love it. I have an uncle who has the same thing. He gets, a percentage of his pay rate when he was either active duty or he was what's the other ones when you're on weekend duty? Guard, he was on National Guard duty. Even when he was part-time, as in the reserves, and he gets part of his, right now he's in his 70s, and he gets part of his monthly stipend or check is from retirement. So you cannot not consider the military and not have that as a great advantage for something later on in life, because it's big, and it's usually about 30-40% of what your base pay was.
Right, something like that. I can't remember the exact amount, but it's somewhere along those lines. And of course, the more years you have beyond 20, it's going to be a little more.
Right.
But we're talking about something being better than nothing. And like you use that word structure. So this is structure again. Once you get to that level, you can pretty much figure out what your monthly check is going to be, which is what people approaching retirement, you'll often see them do. Hey, I can calculate and count on this amount of money every month. And so that is security for those people. That is security. And that's another thing, at 25, coming out of school, and you're a whippersnapper, you're running circles around all these doctors, you are not thinking about retirement. But all too often, we as dentists here, you guys, accountants, attorneys, they'll all tell you, you guys don't save enough money for retirement. So how great is it that this structured employment opportunity does it for you? And, you don't have to worry about being so disciplined of putting away your money. They have an opportunity for you if you're fortunate enough to get to that 20 years and beyond.
That's right. I got some people here on Facebook Live saying the same thing. One recommendation is advise all the graduates to enter the military to pay off your debt. But also, what Dr. Oates just said, if you think about it, if you're 25, even if you're 30, you just graduating out of dental school, you add 25 more years, that's retirement at 55. Now, you still might have to do something. I mean, depending on where you live in the country or out of the country, but 55 and you can retire from the military, and you could do locum tenens. You could do part-time. You could be faculty at a dental school and have that part-time income in addition to your retirement income. So it's not about working harder. It's about working intentionally and smart across the board. So That's good. So what advice do you have for those aspiring new dentists that are thinking about careers in military? I mean, we didn't even talk about the ability and the opportunity to specialize in the military as well. I know that's one of the things they used to always push us in the Air Force. They encouraged you to get additional training, whether it as an advanced comprehensive dentist or as a specialist. What advice do you have for those aspiring new dentists, whether they are in school currently or they're getting ready to get out of school, or even if those that have done a GPR residency, about looking into careers in the military, or just advice in general?
My best advice, and I have that are typically students from Hampton University that I mentor that are going into dentistry. I get connected to them, and I always tell my girls to look at the opportunity. For me, it was based on my personality. I don't like debt. I did not want that six-figure bill hanging over my head for another 10, 20 years. And my understanding is the loan repayments over 40 years now with the debt that kids are coming out of school with. It was not like that when we graduated, but it is now. So look at your personality, look at what your tolerance is, and look at what your end goal is. If you can plan your future for as much as you can foresee, great. If you don't have if you like unlimited potential, then you want to do something like private practice. If the sky is the limit for you in terms of how much you want to make, if you have this $1 million pie in the sky vision, then of course private practice is for you. And maybe even a higher end specialty like oral surgery. If you want structure, if you're thinking about retirement and the end game, if you like using all of your talent, then maybe going into the armed services is for you. I think it's based on your personality. I think it's based on your planning. I think it's based on your end game. But I would tell students, while you're in school, different opportunities will come out to have lunch and learns where you can learn about these different opportunities that are available once you get out of school. Go to all those. Listen to all of the opportunities. Don't be closed-eared because something just might strike your fancy. Whether it's public health, whether it's working for Indian Health Service, working in a remote area, whether, like you said, it's locum tenens, there are, maybe it's mobile dentistry. There are a wide variety of opportunities that may suit your personality, suit your financial end game. So while you're in school is the best time to explore those. But if you're like me, you may change game 10 years later. But always have a plan and you get to those golden years.
Always have a plan. That's right. You must plan from the beginning to the end.
My residency director said something very important to me. He said, always have a plan B. He said, and when you're happy with your job, that's when you really need to have a plan B. So he taught me as a resident to always have a plan B. Always. Even when you're happy and content.
Right. Okay. Knowing what you know now, being in the military for these last, 7 years?
7.5 years.
7 years. So knowing what you know now, 7 years in the military, and combined with the 10 or 12 years that you had prior to getting into the military, knowing those things, what would you do differently if you had to start all over again 18, 19, 20 years ago? What would you do differently?
Right. Go ahead and put me out there. It is 18 years ago. I wish I had taken up this opportunity earlier. Because like you said, this opportunity coming right out of dental school. Well, and we talked about that 20 years is the time that you can, you have made it where you can option for retirement. I'd have 2 years left. 2 years left, and then I could do whatever I wanted to do. But I think back in our time when we were in school, and what my understanding was is that, private practice was the golden mecca for us. That was the golden ticket. That's what we were all supposed to be doing. That's what you grew up in, was going to a private practice. And that's what I thought the end game was and was supposed to be. And when I got in it and realized that did not suit my personality or my financial tolerance or my financial risk tolerance, I had to change things up.
Right.
I always say this is based on personality, and I said that as far as money and the type of money you want to make. But the other thing about it is I have other attributes of my personality that I couldn't express in private practice necessarily, and the Army affords me the ability to use some of my other talents. I've gotten opportunities to plan continuing education meetings on a large scale for the Army, Air Force, and the Navy. I've had an opportunity to help plan and organize the Army Dental Corps' birthday ball. So I've gotten to use other skills in other ways and other talents that you don't get to do on a daily basis in private practice. So it's been fun. It's always been an adventure. I've gotten to use different talents. And so I enjoy that because no day is the same.
Right.
No day is the same. And I'm using all of my talents as opposed to just sitting at the chair being a doctor. And I enjoy that.
Right. Okay, well, look, last 4 questions. These are questions we ask everyone that are guests on the show. Last 4 questions. Question number 1, what is your favorite day of the week?
Friday night. And yes, I do consider that a day. Friday night. Because I know Friday night, if I'm not socializing, I get to go to sleep early. And I know 9 times out of 10, I'm going to wake up well rested. I usually wake up around 7 o'clock in the morning if I'm well rested. But I know Friday night I can go to sleep and I don't have to worry about what time I'm waking up. So Friday night is my favorite day of the week.
Gotcha. All right. So second question. What's your favorite food?
Definitely shrimp. I'm from Maryland. I'm a DMV girl. We pride ourselves on knowing our seafood, so shrimp is my favorite.
Shrimp. I love shrimp too. That's one of my favorites as well. Third question. What's your favorite procedure that you do at work?
I enjoy restoring anterior teeth, anterior cosmetics, particularly, a fractured number 8 or number 9. Let me get in there. I pride myself on getting the color right. I'm not colorblind, thank goodness. I pride myself on getting those line angles right and taping that tooth where when the patient, when we sit the patient up, they're like, wow, I can't even tell. Wow, doc, that looks great. And they can smile again. So anterior aesthetics, repairs, residence is my absolute favorite.
Good. So your last question, question number 4. What's your favorite activity to do outside of military duties and responsibilities and military clinic, outside of work?
I was going to say outside of work. I love keeping a bucket list. I love traveling, but I love keeping a bucket list and checking off those things. I tell everybody I can do everything once. And then if I don't like it, I'll have to do it again. So this year, my bucket list item this year was going to opening day. I am from Maryland. I am a home girl. I love the Orioles. And, when we were in dental school, if you went to a professor's office when that game came on, you could forget it. They had the radio on, but they were either walking down to the stadium at University of Maryland. They were going to that game. Everything shut down on opening day in Baltimore.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
Growing up in Maryland, went to games, but I never went to opening day. This year I went to opening day, and it was like being in heaven for me. I was in heaven.
Wow, that's
so
cool.
Bucket list item. 2 years from now, I'm taking a bucket list trip to Bora Bora. So bucket list items, adventures.
Awesome.
Enjoying life.
And that's, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's important. That's how you have a little bit of balance and helps you keep going throughout the day, the month, the year, and over the years too. So what projects are you working on? And we also want to give a chance for people to get in contact with you. So tell us just real quick, what projects you're working on right now? You working on any projects?
So I'm super excited. I am co-authoring my first book. I'm so excited. The name of the book is Thinking About Quitting Medicine, Volume 2. I am the only dentist in the book, and I am thrilled. I was talking to my publisher last night, and I said, I used to get in trouble for talking. Yeah, every school report in elementary school, the teacher would tell my mom, she's really smart, and the butt was always, she talks too much. So now that I have some years of experience and I have stories to tell, I want to talk for a purpose. So Thinking About Quitting Medicine, Volume 2 is a collection of stories of doctors who, you're told, or we all perceive that being a doctor is the perfect life. The white picket fence, the nice car, the 2 kids, the spouse, and you ride off into the sunset. And the book is about, once each of these doctors figure out that this is not this perfect life that you were sold, what do you do? Do you quit? Do you walk away from medicine? How do you find your niche? What do you do? So the first book resonated with me, and I enjoyed the stories. So I'm so excited to be in the second book. It should be out this fall. There's a Facebook group. You can follow us on Facebook. But I'm thrilled and excited to be the first dentist that they're taking on. And I think most people will enjoy my story. There's always some element of humor to my story. So I'm very excited about that. You can, I'm on Facebook as Elizabeth Oates. I'm on Instagram as Elizabeth Oates. My hashtag is DDS stick. Thinking About Quitting Medicine is the book, and they have a Facebook group, and I'm super excited.
That's great. That's great. So how can people get in contact with you if they want to talk to you more about becoming a military dentist and your path and your success and your challenges? How can people get in contact with you? What's the best way?
Right. You can reach me on social media as Elizabeth Oates, or my email is eoatesdds@gmail.com. All of my mentees, we always start our relationship via email, because I tell my girls, any questions you ask me, when I answer them, you can keep that email and always go back to refer to it. Now my girls all text me. They text me any time of day or night. They know I'm very accessible. But we always start off the relationship email. That way you can refer to the information. Always refer to the information that you're asking for.
Right. And it looks like you've got a passion for helping those Hamptonian folks, future graduates that are
absolutely
predental, thinking about careers in dentistry. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. I'm thrilled to always see the girls that I've mentored go on. I've got 2 in dental school. I've got 1 starting dental school in the fall.
Yeah, I met her. I know exactly what it is. Yep.
Got 1 that's a medical resident. Yes, I'm thrilled. And she's got a partial scholarship. Big deal that she got such a huge scholarship from UNC. So that's my pride, and that'll be part of my legacy, is seeing these kids come up, graduate, thrive, and survive. And hey, in some cases, and in more cases, do even better and greater things than what we did, because they have access to information and they have people pushing them in the right direction.
That's right. And that's part of our purpose here, to, at least for me, it's been my mission to help as many new dentists as possible with personal and professional development. Hey, Dr. Oates, thanks so much for your time today. This was really great. All this information about military, joining the military as a career, for all the advantages, all the benefits. It was just amazing. So I appreciate you, and thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And for those of you that have questions, either for Dr. Oates, you can check below on the podcast. We'll give out her contact information. But if you have information you want to hear about or questions that you want to ask, shoot me an email right here at newdentistcoach@gmail.com, newdentistcoach@gmail.com. And if you're looking for coaching one-on-one where we can help you with different aspects of your application or of your pursuit of a particular residency, again, shoot me an email there under the subject line, Coach Me. Dr. Oates, again, thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video. Can't wait to hear you and get your book.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been fun. Good luck, everyone.
All right. Have a good day. Bye.
All right. Thanks.